Welcome back, fellow Dream Warriors, to Riderpiece Theater! Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Zeztz, episode 43. So forgive me that once again, in case you hear stuff in the background, my fan is on. It be hot in here in my realm of oblivion, so if you don't hear it, great. If you do hear it, I'm sorry, but I need to keep the fan on because it's hot and I'm sweating like a pig. Yes, sir, Bob. My God, it's getting hot in here. And, yeah, it's summer. And for the past couple of weeks, it was pretty meh. But now, heading into August, ooh, it's gonna get hot until we get to the fall, which I love fall, and I love the cold breeze and the leaves falling. I love that. But, right now, it's summer, and I hate summer, and I hate the heat. But yeah, so let us start with this scene. You have Baku dressing up, and in this first scene, this intro was a bit different because now Baku is telling us, the audience, that the nightmares destroyed Code. And I was like, wait a minute, didn't Nox also was a part of destroying Code? Because there was some comments on social media when the introduction was aired, right, with Baku saying, oh, my name is Baku, Code is destroyed because of the nightmares, Zero is dead. And I'm like, Baku, you know that Nox is partially responsible, right? Sure, he didn't kill people. Sure, he wasn't responsible for, the death of Zero, even though we had that stupid fight that it was a huge waste of time. Still, I mean, he was the one who destroyed the code tech. And it's so stupid because I made my case last week because you're dealing with 4 demon lords here, okay? Don't you think it would be a smart idea that after the 4 lords were to be defeated, then destroy the tech? But no, it's just Nox right now is starting to be very annoying for me. And I'm like, I don't care what happens to Nox. He's just becoming very annoying. And I want him to get his ass kicked because of it. Is it gonna happen? No. So I have this image of Catastrum beating the crap out of Nox every single time. It reminds me of how much I hate Hotaro with a passion, and I'm replaying the scene when the mind control Sabi became the first Kamen Rider Dread and ends up punching Hotaro in the face into oblivion. That's how I feel with Nox. Like, I don't hate Nox as much as I do Hotaro. It's just the problem with his character is that he's never, he's always speaking in riddles. And because of what happened with Code and the whole encounter with Zero, and for me as an audience watching, I'm like, he looked like he was about to kill Zero. And that's how Baku got the impression of, look, I understand you want revenge, but you can't take it out on Zero. I mean, he will pay for his crimes. Just please let this go. But of course, we had that useless fight, and then, and the rest is history. So, yeah. So anyways, so like I said, Baku is dressing up in his spy uniform. And then we quickly go to the throne world where you see Oblivion destroying Catastrophe's throne. And Punish was about to say something because in the subtitles, Punishment was about to say something directly to Oblivion, assuming that he did something. Like, he, in the subtitles, he said, "Punish, did you?" And then the conversation got cut off because of the crazy lady. And she says, "Look, Punish, now is your turn. I want to see your bad dream." And Punishment just knocks her arm away from his mouth and be like, "You can't tell me what to do. And I will punish humanity for its sinful nature." And Punishment reminds me a whole lot of the Judge in Batman and other characters that I've seen. Oh, especially Darts from Yu-Gi-Oh! Darts was a character who believed that all humanity is evil, and he is on a mission to pretty much remake the world into a paradise, and mankind will have a fresh start, and there will no longer be evil. Punishment reminds me a whole lot of Darts in terms of they both see mankind as evil beings that need to be destroyed, and that's pretty much it there. And so continuing on in the next scene with Punishment, you see Punishment capture humans in the dream space, and he chains them up. He is sitting on a throne, and he summons a robotic nightmare and turns everybody who is chained up into stone. And we go to the next scene after the opening credits. You see Minami surprised to see Baku in his ancient clothes, and she ends up breaking the news that, "Hey, you're not in the dream world, dude. You're in the real world." And Baku was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I'm in the dream space." "No, moron, you're still in the real world." And he starts to notice, like, "Oh, wait a minute, you're like, really?" And I wish Minami would have said something like, "Hey, your hair, one of your hair pieces is not sticking up, your eyes is still in the regular color, so you don't have your contacts on, and thirdly, you don't have your makeup on." Just to break the fourth wall, just to make it even funnier. Like, dude, you don't have a pale face, you don't have your contacts on, and certainly you don't have that iconic hair that it's like sticking out from the rest of your head. So yeah, you're still in the dream space, dude. And Baku's like, "Really? But I spoke English." "Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're still in the dream world. You are real. You are walking about your regular Baku." And then Scully shows up and tells Baku and Minami that there's been new black cases involving people turning into stone. And when Minami asks about Mulder, we quickly go to the next scene where he is stalking Nox. I mean, it's just so goofy of how Mulder is stalking Nox, and he's just so... Oh no. And I'm sure Nox knows he's being followed, but I think he's just letting Mulder just like be an idiot, because my god, the way he is stalking Nox and he's just covering himself up with his jacket and just like, "Oh, I'm not suspicious at all." And of course, the set is actually the Toei Studios. It's not actually the city itself. I'm like, well, it's in the middle of the night in the studio, and it's just they're trying to capture the city life, which I wish they could have done so in the city, but I don't know. I'm just nitpicking now. So Scully tells Baku and Minami that Mulder is stalking Nox, and then Baku says, "Well, it's time for me to, do my duty as an agent," and he does the I'm on it thing, and he uses his extreme capsule to transport himself into the dream world. And we go to the next scene where you see Baku just flying across the sky. Well, he's technically falling through the dream world, and you see him transform into Extreme, while at the same time Mr. Robot is turning everybody in chains into stone. And so he was about to turn a little girl into stone, but of course Baku comes in at the nick of time, rescuing that same girl. And then Nem shows up, and of course Baku's like, Nem, please rescue these people. And he summons a mind store to let them escape into the real world. And as Baku is fighting the robot, you see Nem using her dream magic to break the chains and help people go inside, go through the mind store in order for them to wake up. And then as Nem rescues people, Punishment ends up bringing more people all chained up. Meaning that regardless if Nem and Baku ends up rescuing the people who are already chained up, Punishment will automatically capture even more people just as fast as they could rescue them. So that's really bad. So the only way to stop it is to stop the source, which is Punishment. And Baku ends up destroying the Nightmare Robot, but ends up getting revived, and the fight continues. And then Punishment is using his captured victims into, as an anchor for them to speak his voice and all that stuff, and tells Baku and Nem that, yeah, you can rescue them, but you do realize that more people will fall asleep and I will capture them, and it's just, you can't stop what I'm doing. And he says that the bad dream will never end. All those who dream will get my death sentence. And as Baku is continuing to fight the robot, you see Nem just standing there realizing that, hey, I think I have an idea. Will it work? I have no idea, but I have to try. So she ends up leaving the area, and you hear Baku be like, Nem, where are you going? Where are you going, Nem? That was so funny. Like, Baku's like, Nem, where are you going? And so we go to the next scene with Mulder still stalking Nox, and the stalking led Mulder into this abandoned house, and Nox goes inside into the room where Nem's body used to be, and to realize that, hey, the body's gone. And it's the same room as in the dream space where you see all the plants and where the crazy lady has been living in the dream space. But in the real world, you see it as it's been abandoned for years. You see all the stuff in the floor. You see dust. You see all these plants on top of stuff. You see leaves on the ground. And it looked like it's been abandoned for years. As Nox was in shock to see that Nem's body is gone, here comes Mulder and be like, what the hell is this place? And did something to, is Nem used to be here? What's going on here? And Nox just stares back at Mulder and be like, really? This guy? I mean, he can never stop. So speaking of Nem, we go to the next scene. And Nem is looking for Zeke. And she ends up finding Zeke, and you see him cooking a piece of fish. And she asks him, hey, Punishment is running amok. He is your nightmare. You need to stop him. But of course, Zeke says, well, you do realize that I enjoy bad dreams. I'm not going to stop him, right? I don't stop bad dreams. And this is where Nem doesn't necessarily hit a nerve when it comes to Zeke, but Nem asks, what is it that you're afraid of? Because to her, it seems that Zeke likes to pretend that he's enjoying himself. But Nem thinks that Zeke is running away from what is really from really facing his heart. And this is where Zeke just stood up and just took out his sword and be like, like, you think I'm running away? You are running away. Because he doesn't mention Oblivion's name, but he does mention Oblivion in the sense of, you're the one who is running away. You cooked up one hell of a nightmare, aka Oblivion, and you let it on the loose. And Nem replies with, hey, I'm fighting. I won't run away from the nightmares and not from the fate that I was born into. And you see her just grabbing Zeke's blade, and you see it, her hand getting cut and it's bleeding. And then after that, we go back to Mulder and Nox. This is where Mulder is asking Nox, did you did something to Nem? And of course Nox like you don't need to ask me. Like, no, I don't know what happened to her. Like, stop accusing me of me doing something bad towards Nem's body. It's not me. I was as shocked as you are. And why are you even here? Why did you follow me all the way here? He doesn't say that, but I'm just adding lines to Nox. And Mulder, still is trying to persuade Nox, like, please join us. Use your power to destroy the nightmares, please. I beg of you. I mean, you used to fight for world peace. Why can't you do so again? And Nox just walks away from Mulder like, no, I'm not interested. No, sorry. Either you put me in jail or you leave me alone. So we go to the next scene with Baku once again fighting the iRobot as punishment is thinking humanity is not worth saving. So once again, punishment is thinking humanity is evil, is full of sin, and they need to be destroyed. And then Nem shows up and confronts punishment as she is saying to him that nobody is born wanting to hurt people. They just have dreams in their hearts, dreams that they are inspired to come true. And then you have punishment coming in saying that humans avert their eyes from their own sins to wallow in those self-serving dreams. Pride is a sin. And then the conversation turns towards Zeke, and he says, as he continues, that Zeke was born into a family of criminals. He tried to justify his own existence by punishing crimes and enjoying bad dreams. Zeke is a pitiful creature who in the end could only move forward by abandoning his humanity. And then this is where Nem counters with saying, everybody has the right to dream and have them come true. And then we see once again Nem using her dream magic, and she ends up destroying the crystal on top of a punishment scythe, and it just laid a crap on the crystal, causing the iRobot to stop reviving itself. So when Baku destroys it, it was for that one final time. And so we go to the next scene with Punishment, and this is where Punishment gets really annoyed. And he says that Nem does not see that mankind's mere existence is a sin. And this is where Punishment unleashes an energy bullet towards Nem. And you see Baku showing up after destroying the robot. And you see Baku just slowly running towards Nem, trying to save her life. But who ends up saving Nem's life? But of course, none other than Zeke himself, by pushing her out of the way and him taking the bullet. And you see this hole where his heart used to be. And of course, you've been wondering, which I don't think you do, because you know that Zeke is some kind of immortal, because remember that one time where he was destroyed by Baku, and then all of a sudden Baku and Nem ends up, remembering Zeke, and then he shows up. That mess. Yeah, he doesn't have a body anymore in the real world, I believe. So he's immortal in the dream space, so nothing really can kill him. Unless, of course, just like Freddy, don't say his name, don't remember him, and that's how you officially kill him. The moment you utter those words, like a name, that's when he comes back. So you see this hole where his heart used to be, and Zeke tells his former husband that his bad dreams suck, and Punishment transports everybody to the nightmare pits and tells Zeke the reason why he dumped him. And we get a flashback of Mini Zeke, which, by the way, it's so funny how you see Mini Zeke and you see the kid with silver hair. I'm like, wait a minute, did he grew silver hair, or did his father just decide to let him dye his hair silver or blonde, whatever? It looked silver to me. I look at it, I'm like, wow, he looks like an 8-year-old, and he just has silver hair. Like, damn. I just find it to be funny. I'm like, wow. I mean, I never seen children have, that color that young. I'm just saying, right? But in any case, we're in the flashback, and you have Punishment telling his ex-wife the reason why he got dumped. And this is interesting because he points the blame towards Nem, of all people. Right? I know, Nem, of all people. So he says, and I quote, he realized that Zeke wanted was no longer a bad dream. It was a mere dream of bad dreams. Being born into a life of crime was the only life Zeke was ever allowed to have. Committing crimes was the only way to prove himself worthy of life. His purpose was making bad dreams come true until Nem entered into his life and got seduced by the idea of making dreams come true. So now we know the real reason why Punishment refused to rejoin with Zeke. It's all because of Nem and her not persuading him to believe that dreams can come true, but just planted the seeds of that said idea. We go to the next scene. Well, not really to the next scene, but more of a transition into Zeke transforming into Dawn, and we have this epic fight between exes, Punishment versus Dawn. And you see that as he was transforming, he ends up turning his dragon from purple to red, to flaming red. Now, it doesn't really mean it changed the costume at all. He's still the same. But the only thing that changed was his dragon changing from purple to flaming red. And then we have a fight between the exes, like I mentioned earlier. And Punishment is taunting Zeke that you will never surpass him, you're weak, the typical villain stitch, during the fight. So he was just trash talking poor Zeke. And so, it was a rocky start. You see Punishment having the edge at first. And then this is where Zeke ends up going through the cage, because I forgot to mention this too. So as Punishment transported our heroes to the nightmare pits, Punishment decided to put Baku and Nem into a cage. So when Zeke was getting his ass kicked, this is where Zeke approached the cage and just grabs the extreme capsule out from Baku's pocket, and you hear like, "Oi, oi, what's going on? What are you doing?" And Zeke ends up saying to Baku, "I'm borrowing this if you don't mind." And but before he returns to fighting punishment, you see Baku telling Zeke like, "Hey, good luck," and you see him form a fist, like, "Hey, I want a fist bump from you," and then Nem does the same. But instead of Zeke just doing the fist bump, receiving the fist bump, he ends up just flicking the fist like, "Baka," like dummy, and Baku just stares back at Nem and is like smiling. Like, yeah, I thought it was a cool moment between them after Zeke being the bad guy, after the Visions arc and all that, and to see him, like, Baku and Nem is starting to warm up with Zeke, but Zeke is such a wild card though. So he takes the capsule from Baku and does the flick thing. He turns back his attention to punishment. He ends up using the extreme capsule on his weapons. And during the last leg of the fight, this is where Zeke tells everybody that nobody gets to say what I am. And then he uses the capsule, he puts it on his chest. Finally, we get to see Zeke using a capsule and just install it in his chest and, use it. And he says, "Bad dreams surpass bad dreams." And with the punish shoot, Zeke destroys the second Nightmare Lord. And then you see the Nightmare Pits, dissolving. You see a sunrise indicating that there's a change of brewing inside of Zeke, that maybe, just maybe, he will turn into a hero. And then Baku and Nem gets released. And this is where Zeke is telling both Nem and Baku that, hey, you shouldn't be wasting time here, because you would think that after defeating a catastrophe and punishment were a piece of cake. No, not at all, because there's someone far worse than those two combined, and you need to be ready for it. And this is where Zeke and the Nightmare Pits officially disappear. Both Nem and Baku get transported back to the top of a building where Nem hangs out, and you see the bench and the light post, that area. And then Baku receives a phone call causing him to wake up. And then you go to the next scene where Baku returns to the real world and receives a phone call from Mulder telling him that, "I have discovered the secret hideout to where Nem's body is held captive." And of course Baku is excited, like, "Hey, okay, so this is good news. Is Nem okay?" And this is where Mulder breaks the bad news that by the time he got there, Nem's body is gone, which causes Baku to be like, "Oh man." So obviously Nem will not return until the series finale of Zeztz. So yeah, we had to wait a little bit longer. And so with punishment gone, you see in the next scene, the final scene, back in the throne world, as I like to call it, you see punishment's throne disappearing, and the crazy lady senses that Nem's dream magic has awakened, and it's growing. And then this is where Oblivion comes in and unleashes white flower petals into the dream world, and you see the petals falling down. You see the petals touching the light post, causing it to disappear. The same goes to the bench. But when it hit Nem's clothing, it turned white, and yeah, this is gonna be really bad for Nem in the next episode, because you see all these things disappearing, and from what I heard in the preview for this coming episode, Oblivion is gonna cause Nem to lose her memories. And that's how the episode ends. I actually enjoy this episode due to Nem, of course, and Zeke. Nem actually stood up against one former bad guy and one Nightmare Lord to their faces, not really towards their face, but you know what I mean. And with Zeke, she was like, look, your nightmare's running amok, you need to do something. And of course Zeke is like, nah, I'm supposed to be the bad guy. I'm supposed to be enjoying people's misery and bad dreams, so trying to stop my ex-husband from creating bad dreams is against my mojo. And Nem was like, yeah, I don't believe that. You're hiding something. Like, believe you're running away from something, like maybe your heart or something. And then Zeke obviously got struck a nerve that he just pointed his sword towards Nem, but Nem didn't back down at all. She even just grabbed the blade and be like, dude, like, is this supposed to scare me? No, like, I'm not running away. Even if in the past I did run away, I'm not running anymore. So yeah, I'm trying to fight my own way. And Zeke was like, you fight? Like, you're not even a Kamen Rider, so how are you gonna fight? But of course Nem says, I'm gonna fight regardless if I'm a Kamen Rider or not, and in my own way, which causes Zeke to really like decide to do the right thing and help Nem and Baku defeat punishment. And you get that acknowledgement from Baku and Nem by just like, hey, let's fist bump. And I find it to be a cool interaction between the three, because even though Zeke didn't, fist bump Nem and Baku, he, in his own way, he just flicks at them and like, Baku, like, you being silly here, like, it's almost as if he's telling the heroes, like, yeah, I may be changing as a character, but not really. Like, I'm still going to be the same old me, only less evil, I guess. I'm still a proprietor of bad dreams, so yeah, I'm not going to be a full-blown hero. I'm just going to be an anti-hero from now on. And destroying punishment and seeing that sun rise is just a way of telling the audience and Zeke himself that, yeah, he is changing. He is going to be someone who is going to be an anti-hero. He's going to help every once in a while. He's still a wild card, but he's not going to be as evil as he was before. And it's thanks to Nem in a way, because like Punishment said, that if it weren't for her, then he would have been seduced by the mere idea of making dreams come true. And the second person, Zeke, of course, just seeing that moment he had between Nem and Baku was like a sign of, yeah, he's not really a part of the team, but when the time comes, I think he will help in his own way. And of course, the sunrise and the nightmare pits just signifies that it's a new change for him, it's a new beginning for him, and that's it. The only gripe that I have, and this is just in general, it's about the Nightmare Lords. It's how quickly Punishment got defeated, and how quickly Catastrophe got defeated too. And I'm like, Yuya, you're destroying your own creation so quickly. I'm like, you really need to take your time with them and have them get destroyed by the tail end of, that final arc. Because how many episodes do we have left so far? I mean, we have 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, like 7 episodes left. So I wanted Yuya to stretch the arc out not have him be defeated so easily and quickly. But I don't know. I don't know what's inside Yuya's mind. I just think that he's destroying the Nightmare Lords so quickly. I'm like, they're not much of a threat. But then you have Oblivion here, who looks like to be the next one in line to get his ass kicked. But then again, on social media, supposedly Oblivion should be the final boss. But then I hear rumors that the final boss is going to be a Kamen Rider. I'm like, okay, so who is he? Who is this Kamen Rider? And like, why are they gonna go after our heroes for? Like, I don't understand. Like, is it gonna be another ghost situation, or I don't know. But I feel like Yuya is destroying, the Nightmare Lords super quick, and like, no, just stretch it out, dude. It's your final arc, man. Don't destroy your Nightmare Lords so quickly, like you're doing right now. But anything else about this episode? Well, Baku, he kept fighting the iRobot thing, only to get revived. I realized that finally there's a weakness in Extreme, where if you have a character who constantly revives itself, then you have a chance against the final form. If you do not, then of course Baku will always get the edge because he can always rewrite the dream to his favor. But of course, if he uses it so many times, then it's gonna exhaust himself and whatnot. Again, with Baku, like, hey, I speak English now, and then that funny moment where he's in uniform and Minami is telling Baku, like, no, you're in the dreams, you're not dreaming, you're in the real world, you don't have your makeup on, you don't have your contacts on, you're here, alive, in the real world. Yeah, and I think that's it. I mean, great episode. I love Nem in this episode confronting both Punishment and Zeke having a moment where he is free from, just to be himself, and that sunrise indicating that he has reached a new chapter in his life. And yeah, and I think that is it, guys. Give me your thoughts and opinions about this episode. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did I miss anything? Even though I have my notes in front of me, I may have missed a couple of things here and there. You never know. And give me your thoughts about the Nightmare Lords. Do you think that they're destroying them so quickly into this arc? Because, man, after how many episodes so far? I mean, Baku and now Zeke easily destroys their own nightmares so quickly. I don't know. I feel like they need to stretch it out a bit more until the tail end of the arc, but that's just me. And yeah, give a like if you like it, and please subscribe. And I do apologize for the fan in the background. Like I said, it's very, very hot in here. And I will see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!